Confession.
Yes, me? Go ahead.
Let's start, Ben, with a quote.
Sure.
Not your own. Ben has this strange effect on women. If they get, you know where I'm going with this? If they get within 50 feet of him, their clothes fly off their bodies. Now, what must it be like to be a man that has that effect on women?
Well, let me tell you, I also have that effect on men, so be very careful.
Yes,
Hold
well,
on
I'm
to your
gonna
pants
put
because
that
they're going to come flying off. That's a friend of mine who's being particularly generous about my particular capacity for unwittingly removing the undergarments of.
Now, when you were a younger man,
Yes.
in high school or there, were you shy with the girls or were you very aggressive?
I've never been, well, very aggressive is probably an overstatement. Then you're like, I wasn't in the spur posse or anything, but I was a sort of a friendly, I think, pretty outgoing guy.
Dated a lot?
Yeah, I mean, it was more that, I was kind of outgoing, probably bordered on, obnoxious since it was high school, but I just like to sort of be around people and have fun, and I've never been I think it's hard to be in this business if you don't have the capacity to just sort of relate to people,
Were you voted like most likely to do anything in particular after high school?
My high school was so big that we couldn't like do those voting things. I'm not sure what I would have been voted, probably,
Would they have ever said most likely to be on the cover of a magazine? Would that have been
I
predicted?
don't know. That may be a surprise to quite a few people, but it's certainly a surprise to me that I ended up being on the covers of magazines. It's probably a surprise to the magazines. A slow news week, perhaps. But.
You wonder when you go back to high school reunions. They're very strange. It's how you've turned out and what has happened to your fate. Now you're saving the world. If they would have thought you would have turned out that way when you were 8 or 9 years old, hanging out throwing rocks at cars or
I
something.
think they probably thought I would have ended up, in the criminal justice system more than in the celebrity media circuit. But
I kind of got the opinion you might have been a little mischievous as a kid.
Definitely, sure. I was a bit mischievous. I like to sort of have a good time and run around, and I think that's healthy. I think it's good to have a little mischief. If you're too into the structures and the rigors of what people want you to do, you become like everyone else.
So are you all grown up now? Mature man?
No, I got a long way to go, I think.
But I mean, this last year must have been very sobering and maturing for you with all the attention, the awards, the success. A lot of insecurity probably blew out the door.
Yeah, it's been an interesting year. There were a couple years before that sort of warmed me up for it, but there was a lot. It caused me to look at the world in a slightly different way, and certainly I was surprised at the amount of attention that Good Will Hunting got, and then winning all these, awards and stuff was really kind of a shock. And then, it sort of caused me to reflect on, what awards mean and what these kind of shows mean and what really drives publicity and those kinds of things. But it was sort of a sobering experience, you know what I mean? And also, in a way, a more grounding one, because I figured, well, if people are going to heap all this attention and awards and stuff on me, then it must not be quite the, what I had thought it was, you know what I mean?
Is it easy to understand how some people in your position have basically lost their mind after all this attention, and all of a sudden just one day you're nobody, next day you're everybody's friend?
Yeah, in fact, I think most people who get, really famous go sort of crazy. I mean, I think it's a sad fact I mean, it's not so sad. It's much sadder that there's poverty and sickness and disease.
But it is
it's
sad in a way. I mean, your love life, for example, is in all the publications, whether you want it to be or not.
Yeah.
Hard enough dating without all that attention.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's kind of a bummer, but that goes hand in hand with the whole operation. That's part of the game. I think what happens is that people become very obsequious, and it becomes very easy to imagine that the whole universe is sort of geared around you, and if you don't actively kind of police yourself.
Ben, you're wonderful. Ben, you're wonderful. Oh, that was great, Ben.
Yeah, and I mean, and I see it to a greater degree with people who have had who have been stars for years and years. You just become accustomed to a certain kind of deferential treatment, a kind of yes-manning that goes on, a sort of, you're treated differently than you perhaps ought to be treated, and you have to be a little bit careful of that.
Well, Ben, you're out there saving the world. I mean, what do you expect?
It's tough.
It's a tough job.